Welcome to the Wiseguys Incorporated Radio. You're listening to us on United Public Radio Networks, and we're here live every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I want to thank you for joining us today. This is John DeSalvo, and joining me are my other two wonderful co-hosts, Billy Cutolo Jr. And Nick Christophers. And we have a really special guest today. Stevie Bullets, his real name, Steve Roden, and he was with the Chicago mob, and we're going to find out more about that. But let me first welcome Billy and Nick. Hello, Billy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, John. Happy New Year to you and to everybody else. Stevie, welcome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Nicky.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And Nicky boy, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank God I'm doing all right. Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully a much better year than this last piece of shit we went through.
I agree.
Well, just real quick before we have you introduce Stevie, just for our new listeners, Billy Cutolo Jr., one of our co-hosts, was a soldier in the Colombo crime family, and his father was the acting boss and boss of the family, Wild Bill. And Nick is an author of several books. One, Prison Rules, with John Alight, who was the, I guess, the hitman and enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino family. And Nick Christophers is the editor of a mob magazine also, and kind of knows anybody who, let's say, is well known in the mob field. So we really got a really good set of co-hosts. And I'd say my credentials is I watched The Godfather 57 times. Does that qualify me as a soldier? I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, we'll grant it to you.
Yeah, honorary.
Hey guys, do me a favor, guys. One of y'all, I don't know where it's coming from, but I hear just a little bit of like a feedback, like it's coming through somebody's mic or something. If any of y'all got your speakers on or something, you might just want to mute when you're not talking or something on your mic, because it's just a little bit, but I can hear it every once in a while. I'm listening to y'all through the stereo, so it throws it out there. So I'm not hearing right now, so it's got to be just one of them. I'm just going to let y'all know so y'all can, just kind of mute the mics or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just on the regular phone with my earbuds, so I don't think it's coming from me because my computer's out. But yeah, you can interrupt us, Joe, if you hear something and you know who it's coming from, and whoever it is maybe could switch to a different device. But anyway, Nicky boy, you want to introduce Stevie?
Yeah,
Take it away.
Yeah, Steve is a street guy, basically, who ran around with a street gang in Chicago. He definitely cut his nails with that kind of. He decided to redeem himself and take a better path in life. He was a victim of being shot at a couple of times and survived, and I think that kind of triggered, for lack of a better term, into walking a better path.
Yeah.
Is that about right, Steve?
Yeah, that is. So
okay.
I'm not in the Chicago outfit, which is the mob here in Chicago. Things.
Yes, I know that.
But I mean, I grew up with a lot of people that were involved with it, a lot of the families and stuff. So it's very common. My grandfather, my uncles. I just recently had found a lot of information, so I have it in my blood. The outfit, and my uncle, he worked in Cicero at the club, the Spot Lounge, and he worked under a few of the outfit soldiers over there in Cicero that are no longer here. But
Wow.
I was a member of the 12th Street Players Street Gang in Cicero, the suburb outside of Chicago. I earned the name Stevie Bullets throughout the years, being shot several times on 4 different occasions. I took 2 bullets to my head, and then, I gave a couple bullets back. And then, of course, I did 3 stints in the prison.
I like
so
that.
I was in and out of the prison system and met, different people, different gangs, different organizations, made my bones in the streets. And then when I got out about 10 years ago, and I redeemed myself. I'm in redemption mode, trying to promote a positive message to these younger guys that are out here. Had a few of my friends recently that, were victims to the streets, ended up getting killed. And, I just want to make sure that I send a positive message from here on out. I have children of my own, so they're going to be listening. I have all my family and friends that are listening, so I want to support my neighborhood righteously and respectfully. Where I come from, we don't go on the air name dropping or putting limelight on people that don't want it. I want to tell my story and get the message across to people and try to help somebody out with, what I went through. I know there's a lot of people that are in similar situations, just maybe different cities like New York and stuff like that. But, we all have a story, and I want to get my story out. It's the Stevie Bullets story. I'm working with producers here in Chicago, James Forney and Joe Seifert. These guys are incredible. They got some good stuff coming up. You got to start looking for it. Check Facebook out, stuff like that. But I definitely want to send a positive message. After I did my prison time, I have a different look at the police. I don't hate police officers. I support the police and stuff like that. I have family members that are cops. So, my outlook on life is a lot different now that I've been out for a while. I just want to promote positivity. What were you saying?
Well, Steve, what caused you to decide to? You said you took a lot of thought. You had a lot of thought in prison, and something triggered, motivated you to decide to, avoid the streets. What motivated you? What caused that?
Well, I was just getting older, and I had spent most of my life in and out of jail. And I had to take a look at my life and realize what I wanted to do with my time, because we're only going to be here for a short amount of time. I didn't want to spend it sitting in the jail cell. And, I had my dignity, so I didn't want to be in the streets known as a gangster or gang member, drug addict, none of those things. So I took the time while I was in prison to get educated. I started reading books. I had support from family members, my uncle and my aunt, my father, that motivated me while I was in prison to read books that would encourage me and stuff. And I started going to college while I was inside the prison. And when I got out, I was lucky enough to land a job here in Chicago. Got hooked up into the union after 3 years sweeping floors. So I had humble beginnings. Now I have a great job. I work for a great company. I love the people that I work with. I'm a very hard worker. I work 6 days a week. A Teamster, 703. Very, very grateful for my president, Sam Siana. Yeah, I have a good support system. I have a lot of fans behind me that are listening. They want to hear what's going on in the future. We have some future projects coming up that people are really, really going to like. Can't give too much out because I'm under contract, but I think everybody's going to like it.
Hey, Steve, this is Bill. Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm a fan right off the bat. Okay? As soon as you say that you want to put positive out there, you got me hooked. Okay? That's A. B, you're sending out that message to the younger gen. It doesn't even have to be the younger gen anymore. It could be just our brothers and sisters, these days. But yeah, the younger gen. And you know what? As long as you got that good support system behind you, forget about it. You're gonna knock it out of the ballpark. I could just hear it in your voice. It sounds like you have an amazing story. Let me ask you a question, bud. What kept you away from, let's say, getting into the outfit? Like, how, like, let's say, forgive me for using lack of a better word, a gangbanger versus a made guy in the outfit. Like, what did you feel that, was it something like, for me, I got to the point where I didn't want to answer to anyone. I was used to just being around my dad. My dad was always my chief, and that's where my loyalties, lie. But we both know in that life it doesn't end there. So what was it for you that kept you away from that life?
Well, when I got out of prison, my wife got pregnant. I got married, and my wife got pregnant with our first son, and he had autism. And at that point right there, I knew that I had to stay out on the streets so that I could take care of my son. I love him very much, and he was a big part of my change. And, like you said, I didn't want to answer to nobody. I was getting older. I didn't feel like I owed anybody anything. I earned my name, in the streets.
Right.
And, I didn't feel like I wanted to answer to nobody. And I know, with the outfit, you have to answer to somebody. So
yes,
I wasn't, and plus I didn't want to go take the chance of ending up back in prison, because I feel that if you get involved with that, then you know what comes with that. And, that's how that goes.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
I wanted to interject something and ask you, when, you decided to get out because of these other reasons, was there any spiritual aspects to that also, where you maybe, meditated and thought about your life and, the higher questions in life?
Oh,
is this really something good?
Absolutely. I was raised Catholic. I came from a good family, so it wasn't like I came from a broken family. We weren't rich, we weren't poor, but I was raised in a Catholic school in Cicero, St. Francis of Rome. And I think that foundation right there is what kept me from going totally all the way under, is because I had a great foundation and I came from good roots. And in the end, that's what prevailed. And I've been out, like I said, now for 10 years, crime free.
Wow. I love to hear that, because I know others, like Michael Francis and others that were heavy in the life. A lot of times it was that spiritual trigger, whether it was from childhood or something they discovered, a new revelation. And I like to hear it because it gives life a bigger purpose, doesn't it, Steve? It's like, it's bigger than just our little world, but there's something more important in our soul that's stirring us to make changes. So I congratulate you. I mean, not a lot of people get out successfully, do they?
No, they don't. And that people told me several years ago I was lucky, from surviving the gunshot, but I wasn't ready at that time. And then it wasn't until about 10 years ago I did my last prison bit that I realized that I needed to make some changes. And everything just kind of fell into place from there. And, like I tell these producers, I don't come up here, fabricate or lie, make up stories, because people in my neighborhood are listening. They see everything that's going on. So, I try to be as real as possible. I don't try to make myself larger than life, what I was. But I do have, quite a history, and it's pretty interesting. And, I just want to get it out there.
Well, Steve, something harping on what Billy was saying earlier. If I'm correct, I could be wrong, but what I think Billy also kind of meant is when you were on the street, but prior to leaving prison, prior to that, when you were on the street originally, the gang that you were with, were they sort of a farm team like for the outfit?
Like
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Cicero, where I come from, is a mob town, Al Capone town.
Yes.
Most of people that I grew up with, it was very common that your buddy next door or your friend in school, their dad was part of the outfit. But they were respected people. That's what I mean. When you say outfit and stuff like that, that's just every day in Cicero. That's your uncle, your aunt, it could be your next door neighbor. That it's just and sometimes people that are Italian get the label outfit and they're not even part of the outfit. Your name ends in a vowel. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get it all mixed up. You know, it could be the outfit Versace or something. You know, when they say outfit, you know, it could be different things because where I come from, you know, we stick together in Cicero, and a lot of us Italians, that's how things are run in a way. And the way my grandmother described it is that my grandfather was part of the syndicate, that he worked for the syndicate, not that he wasn't. And maybe he was. That's an open question because we found several articles from when my grandfather was younger, involved with murders and robberies and fur coats. And, you know, we never knew this stuff. So, like, when they talk about the outfit, it's usually people that you won't know about. You know, it could be anybody.
Right.
But, yeah, most of the guys that I grew up with were groomed for the outfit, yes.
Well,
you know,
when I
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Billy. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I was kind of laughing a little to myself because I remember when, you know, Al Need was kind of found out about my dad. You know, at first they were afraid to approach him, and then, you know, my dad was a pretty down-to-earth guy. So after a while, you know, it just became like an inside, I guess, neighborhood thing about my dad. You know. But like Stevie's saying, like, it's your neighbor, it's the neighbor down the block, it's the neighbor around the corner sometimes. It's your cousin, it's your uncle, it's your nephew. It's, you know, it's the you know, tentacles reach so far, you know, especially when you come from that kind of background, you know.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, Steve, you when you were basically on the street, were you ever approached to you know, to be a possible candidate for the outfit? Did that ever happen?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is.
Let's just put it
Hold
this
on.
way. I had met several people throughout the years that were very, very well known, and they put me in tune with people. So I had my connections. And I still do. I keep a lot of people at a distance, you know, for the safety of my children and stuff like that. You know, I don't really talk too much about the outfit because where I come from, like I said, you know, we don't talk like that, and I don't have any bad things to say about them. But yeah, that's a good question. But yes, it's brought to me.
Okay, but it never, but you were never like, you know, nobody like came to you and said, "Hey, Steve, we can really use a guy like you."
No.
That's a good thing then.
Yeah, that was a good thing. Yeah. No.
But that's a good thing to live by, Steve, because that's one thing that I say all the time. You know, I won't kick sand in anybody's faces. It don't matter to me. It, you know, we still know guys that are, you know, from back in the day. Without going into it, but we still know those guys. We don't talk about them. That's all, you know.
Yeah, I'm respected by everybody. You know, different gangs. I have, you know, friends that are, you know, gang chiefs for different gangs and stuff like that. I would never expose none of my friends. But it's good to have people to know them and stuff in case there ever was an issue. I haven't had any issues, but, you know, I've met several people that I, you know, keep in the pocket.
Good.
Well, Steve, since you've been, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was going to say I like that because I kind of feel the same way. It's always good to know people and have some people in the pocket. See, like Billy watches over me, right, Billy? So I don't have to worry.
Yeah, I got your back.
Yeah, it's good to have friends. Bad to have enemies. As far as I know, I don't have any enemies no more. Absolutely none, actually. Like I said, I was telling the producers ever since we started this project about Cicero, you know, most of my friends already know I'm not going to get on here and say anything disrespectful or incriminate anybody like that. I got nothing bad to say about anybody. I've been actually reaching out to a lot of people in the neighborhood in Cicero, trying to get them involved, put them in tune with the producers. You know, I like to see everybody.
How long were you in prison for, Stevie?
I did 3 bits. I started with the 3, then went up to a 4, and then on my last bit I got a 6. And you know, I had racked up so many convictions throughout the years that they labeled me a habitual criminal. So that's the other point, is that they got to the point where no matter what I did, if I was to commit another crime, right now I'm 42, they would probably start at like 20 years. You know, and I'm not ready to spend my life sitting in the jail cell with another man. You know, I'd rather be out here free with my wife and my children. You know, life is very, very short.
That's right.
That's right. Did you learn that? What was the major lesson you say you would have learned? You learned by being in prison, or was there any lesson you really did learn?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have all your rights stripped from you, your privacy. You have to sleep with another man in the cell. You have to get dressed. You have to use the bathroom. You know, for me, I wasn't comfortable with that. And they say that when you're not comfortable with things, then you'll change them. But if you're comfortable, then you'll stay doing the same thing. And I was no longer comfortable living like that. And, you know, I had intelligence, and I was going to use that. And that's what I'm trying to do now, is use everything good that I have to offer. And just, I promote myself. I started doing this project by myself, promoting myself. I branded myself, and then I got noticed and put my networking skills together, and I reached out and got in touch with these producers. And 10 years ago, if I told people my story, they probably would have laughed, because, you know, a lot of people thought there was no hope for a guy like me. You know, I was involved with the streets and drugs and gangs, that people like me don't last very long. And here I am 10 years later, you know, crime-free, 3 children, working. I don't have enemies. And now I'm getting ready to do some movies and stuff with these wonderful producers, James Forney and Joe Seifert.
Well, see, Joe, the times that we live in, the times that we live in today, okay, stories like yours are important, because we're trying to change the culture. You know, we're trying to teach the younger generation that, hey, that's not always the way. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. So, you know, your stories coming from the streets, working your way up, you know, those are the stories that touch people. That's what people want to read. That's what people want to see on a screen. You know, this way they take their kids to a movie like that, or buy them a book and say, hey, you really want to be a fucking gangbanger, or you want to be a gangster? Read this book, and then tell me what you think after that. You know, so what you're doing, you know, listen, the self-promoting and all that and branding yourself, that's a job in and of itself. But, you know, just getting your story out there and being proud to tell it, you know, there's nothing better. I love nothing better than a comeback story, and yours is one.
Yeah, and there's some things that I haven't told you that will come out later on. But I think everybody will be interested, because, you know, there's a few things in my life that I didn't tell you guys about that have made me who I am today. And, you know, like I said, things took a very, very good twist without losing respect in the streets, because, you know, a lot of people, when they walk away, you know, they label them, you know, as rats or whatnot. You know, in my case, there was none of that. You know, I'm still out in the streets, out in the open. You know, I still support the gang that I came from, the 12th Street Players in Cicero, but I do it on another level. I reach out to these guys. You know, if they want to work and they're serious, you know, I'll try to offer them a job. I'll tell them where to get a job, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not condoning violence. You know, and sometimes these guys do come to me. They'll reach out to me, you know, if they have a problem, you know, and if there's a way that, you know, I can mediate it so that, you know, stuff doesn't happen, you know, I try to do that. You know, it can't always happen that way. But, you know, whatever I can do to contribute to the guys that I came from, because I came from a strong foundation, which I said is the 12th Street Players. And these are guys that I grew up with in the streets. And like I said, they were outfit groomed. Most of their dads or uncles, you know, came from that life. So we had the same structure. So, you know, and a lot of us are still friends today. And I guess that's what makes it so solid with me, is that I'm still able to talk to these guys. and still have my respect, you know.
Well, since you got off the street, Steve, and you know better than us, like in that area, I mean, are gangs still an issue? Are they still as strong as when you were on the street?
No, there's no more loyalty, that's for sure. You know, a lot of these guys go, you know, mix with the other mobs and stuff. You know, when I was growing up, you weren't allowed to. And if you talked to the other guys, you got your ass beat. That's just how that went. Yeah. And, you know, things were a lot more stricter. Nowadays, these kids, you know, they all tell on each other and stuff like that. You told when I was a kid, they beat your ass. They beat your ass. They didn't play that, especially in Cicero. Like I said, there's no more loyalty. And these kids, they don't honor what, you know, when we were growing up, we would have chiefs or enforcers. These guys, they don't honor that type of stuff. It's all renegades. And, you know, whoever has the highest rank, they might be a target for these little guys, you know, because they want to make the name. These kids now are just ruthless. They don't care. Life means absolutely nothing to these guys. And
nothing.
That's the sad thing. Is, you know, you have this coronavirus and all this other stuff. And, you know, I recently lost one of my little guys. And it was sad because he had come to me about a job, but he chose the streets. And I respected that. But, you know, I grew up with his dad, and then just seeing him pass away, it was sad. And, you know, just how things happen. You know, watching these young guys, you know, die, that's, you know, when I have my kids, I can't condone that no more. That's when I have to do something, and I'm using this as a platform to send a positive message.
Well, is there
our show? And well, I just want to real quickly to mention. You see, Stevie, you fit in really well with the theme of our show. Is just that we not only want to entertain but supply history of the mob and organized crime, but most importantly, stories like yours to warn people that this may not be the best choice of a life to undertake. And so your story is very touching, and that you were in it very deeply, and you came out of it, and you're in a very good position. Did you want to talk a little bit more about your future projects and what you got planned? And for people to contact you if they're interested, contact information?
I'm on Facebook, and my page for the project that I'm working on is the Stevie Bullets story. So they could look it up. I think it's on Instagram, possibly. I'll start posting more links and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're still in the beginning stages of this. So not too much I could really say at this point. But if you continue to follow me on the Facebook.
You got us hooked. I can tell you that, brother. I can tell you got me.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, besides using this as a platform, is there any other ideas or thoughts, or you know, projects that you would want to do, like for instance, attending schools, talking like a guest speaker, these kind of things like this, where you can actually reach the younger generation one-on-one. Have you thought of anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. Because, you know, for me, that's part of the healing process and stuff. I did a lot of damage in the streets, and this is part of the redemption. I was talking with the producers recently about some things that I had to start looking at, people who, you know, I was associating with, and, you know, separating these people from the good people in my life. And, you know, I'm working on that right now. And, yeah, that's a big part of this is about redemption.
You know, what I would love to do, and like you said, this is a platform, for lack of a better word, and I use that term often, but I would love, and I don't know if it could ever happen, but I would love to be a part of a group of guys. And I don't mean like just 5 guys. I mean maybe 20, 30 guys that we can go around the country, you know, and just do these speaking engagements and, you know, reach out to these kids and our brothers and sisters and let them know how serious we are about this.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to start a movement, positivity. You see all the stuff that's happening in the world.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. We need more people to do this.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, I mean,
I've been reaching out to a couple of my friends that are in the streets, and like I said, I respect the guys that don't want to be in the limelight, but if there are guys that want to come forward and share their stories, we need them to come out, pop out, show these younger guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea of maybe getting a group of people to go around the country, give talks at schools and, anywhere where there's an interest. I got a good name for it. Former Mob on the Move. How do you like that?
Yeah, that's catchy.
But,
that's catchy.
That's catchy.
I've been a teacher. Yeah, and I've been a teacher, actually professor most of my life. And my whole life is based on education and helping others. And I used to bring in speakers from all over. I brought in a cult expert from Chicago once to speak to my high school students. I taught high school for a couple of years, actually. That's about as much as I could take, and went back to college. But it was very rewarding. But no, I think, your message is a good message. And, you probably feel like a lot of people that we've interviewed, they want to kind of give back to society. They want to help others. They want to do what they can while they're still around here in this life to help others. And that'd be a great project. Well, if you ever undertook something like that, it'd be amazing.
You know what it is? It's like Stevie's saying, like, we've made enough mistakes in our lives. We've been around the block a few times. Sometimes trying to talk to the younger generation today, sometimes that gap it's just getting bigger and bigger, that gap. So as you try to talk to them, sometimes it's as if like you just can't reach them. So, like I said, when it comes to like guys like us that have been around the block, enough times to see the mistakes that we're making, all we're trying to do is atone for them. If other guys don't want to be a part of that, that's fine. We respect it. But, for the guys that, even if you have that feeling in your heart just a little bit, just venture out. It's not that bad. It's a lot more rewarding, to reach your hand out to help a man up than it is to put him down. My dad taught me that. So again, Steve, I applaud you, brother. I applaud you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. You just planted the seed. That's great. There's so much legit money out here that I realized 10 years ago. There's no reason for me to be legal in the streets and risk going back and sitting in a jail cell. So,
that's right.
Me personally, I work a 9-to-5 job, and I'm proud of that. I walk around all the time with my Teamster jacket. Everybody knows that. That's my label. Yeah, but that's something to be proud of, and my kids see that every single day, and that means the most to me. And, sometimes you just got to try to reach out, and like you said, some people grab onto it because they're just looking for a way out.
Right.
And it's important that we start networking, New York, all across the country, and send, positive message. That's what the world needs right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially right here
Steve,
in Chicago. We have really bad gun violence here in Chicago. You see it on the news. It's terrible. And like I said, when I start seeing my friends' kids dying and kids that I, knew since they were shorties, that was it for me. That was it. That was when I had to make some changes. I don't like to preach to nobody, but I definitely don't like to see that stuff. And it impacted me a lot. And, I just want to try to make a difference somehow, some way.
Well, Steve, since you decided to, go obviously a better route, even though you're respected, you still have the respect value there in Cicero. Have you ever faced any kind of pushback? Like, hey, you were in the street, now you left us, whatever kind of thing, where, you were who you were. Why all of a sudden you decided to go a different way? And I mean, did you get any kind of pushback from anybody?
None, really none.
Well, you're lucky.
People say that. Well, I've heard
Good.
a couple of younger guys say that I was retired and dinosaur, just jokingly. But that's all right with me, But no,
Yeah.
absolutely none. I've had nobody, like I said, I got the name Stevie Bullets for a reason. So I mean, I haven't had too many. I never had an issue. I never had an issue. No, actually, a lot of people respect me that I changed my life, because when I was growing up, I was a thief. I was into drugs. I wanted to change the label on myself because, I didn't come from a trash scumbag family and stuff. And, I had morals. I went to a good school. I was in a Catholic school. So, I was raised right. It's just that I decided when I got to high school to go into that other lifestyle, which was the 12th Street Players.
Yeah,
and,
you were attracted to
and it just
Yeah,
escalated to the point where, I ended up getting bullets and ended up in prison. And, my life was going nowhere. It was going nowhere. And, I was lucky, to change it around. And, here I am now, 3 children and a wife and a house and a great job. I couldn't be more thankful, and especially the support. I have so much support since I started this project. Everybody's been on board, no backlash, so I know it's something good because everybody supports it.
That's important, isn't it? Because if you don't have that support, it's easy to slip back in the old way of life, isn't it?
Yeah, and now I'm held to a higher standard. I'm out in the open, in the public, on the air, on the TV. So, now it's even more important for me to show my redemption.
Well, that makes it a funny question, Steve. Do you believe that there's still people still fear you, remembering who you were?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, because, everybody has 2 sides. So I still have that other side of me, but, like I said, I have it in check. I've had it in check for over 10 years. I don't want that life no more. I know, it's easy to go back to, but, I keep my children in a different world, different environment, and that's not what I want. I don't have it around me or near my children. I want them to see me. Yeah, they're watching. My children are watching. So everything I say, everything I do, they're watching, and that's very important for me. I want, I only have a certain amount of time on the air to send a very strong message to these people, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, how old are your children now?
I have a 9-year-old son, Gianni. I have a 8-year-old daughter, Natalia, and I have a 3-year-old, Michelina, and my beautiful wife, Lucia. Cannot forget about my beautiful wife, Lucia. Yeah,
wonderful.
Well, when I was in prison,
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just, a big part of my story was my wife. When I was away in prison, I wrote her every single day for the 2.5 years that I was gone. And when I got out, she was my support system, and together we built a beautiful life. I wrote her letters in prison, promising her that things were going to change, and I stuck to my gun, and that's the biggest part. One of the biggest parts of my story is, everything that I said I was going to do, I set those goals, and I made good on it, and I'm continuing to make progress. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I try to be as real as possible. I'm not a liar. And I just want to make improvements, changes, whatever I can. I take suggestions. I'm open-minded. And I think that's what's made me successful these last 10 years is staying on a positive, optimistic mind frame.
I don't think there's
much more you could
we're constantly fine-tuning ourselves. I don't care whether it's therapy. I don't care if it's listening to family. But we're constantly just trying to fine-tune ourselves, especially guys like you and I. We're just trying to just keep fixing things that we did in our past. For me, my story is a little different, as you know. And there are some things I guess I wish I could take back. But, the end result probably would have been the same, making the right decision, because I did not want to see my son, who was only 2 at the time, to grow up with that vengeance, on his mind and in his heart and in his mouth, like it was on mine. One thing that I am very sorry for in my life is that I never took the time to grieve my father. I reacted, rather than grieve. And I was speaking to a dear friend a couple of weeks ago when I was in New York. And he had said to me, Billy, as opposed to what? As opposed to what? You sitting in jail for the rest of your life? Or someone stepping over you in the gutter? Or you're just a barroom story? That's other people trying to live your life through their fucking simple minds. And never try to match wits with somebody like that, because you'll never be able to. And again, that's why Steve, your story is, I find you have that anchor, I hear in your voice, your family, your children, being able to see them grow up, that's what's important, not what anybody else thinks, so again, I have to say, I applaud you.
No, thank you. Yeah, I started, taking responsibility for the things that I was in control of. And, I'm in control of my life. And a lot of people, until they get to that point where they take responsibility, they'll never be able to change, and their life will always be the same, and, some people stay like that. Some people die like that, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
One thing I was going to mention is that we're all human. We all have our emotions. We can be sitting calmly one time and all of a sudden go into a rage. I mean, I always remember the story of the 2 fathers some years ago at a hockey game got in a fight, and one actually killed one by accident, and so both families are ruined. So the point, and I think they were professional people. I mean, it shows we never can be totally sure of ourselves, and we always got to be on the watch, like a roaring lion, and I think that's important. And that's where that support system comes in, our belief, our spiritual belief. But we're all going to slip sometime or another. And I guess the key is to try to catch it soon enough and, try not to let anything too bad happen. Don't you agree? I mean, there's like anything, if you had a habit or a way of life or it's always there. You just got to keep a watch on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Steve, I'm sorry if I'm correct.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Besides your wife being I know your wife motivated you in taking the right, to go the right way. Was there, while you were in prison, was there anyone else? I think there was someone else also that motivated you as well while you were in prison, before you came out.
So when I first got arrested and ended up in the prison, I had an aunt and uncle that my father's brother, who had been through a similar situation when he was in college, and he turned around and went through college after that. Now he's a multimillionaire now. He goes around, he speaks at colleges, or he used to, but he's very successful. And,
wow.
My father and him used to pick cotton in the fields in Alabama. And they were from very poor family.
Wow.
And my uncle, he kind of went through some similar things and got in trouble while he was in college. And instead of, staying in that world, he took it and changed. And he's very successful now. And now like I said, he's a millionaire. And he was the one that started writing me and my Aunt Nancy. And they would faithfully write me. They would never let me write anything negative. Everything. And they send me motivational books, Anthony Robbins, a couple other people. But that's what got me into the books. I started reading, when they first started sending me the stuff, I wasn't interested. And then they would refuse to send me money unless I would do some type of assignment. And I thought it was crazy and stupid at first. But then, when you don't have anything in prison, you say, okay, I'll just do it. And it started from there. And I really got into these books and started training my mind while I was in prison, to get away from that negativity. And, it took me a long way because as soon as I got out, I started setting goals. And I told people 10 years ago that, I was going to be changing my life and I was going to go places. And a lot of people would laugh if I told them where I'm at now, and here I am, I'm living proof that people are able to change no matter how bad your situation is. We're in control until we're in the grave or, locked up. We're in control.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
You just gotta, like me, I don't care what anybody thinks, I survived the street. I got shot 11 times on 4 occasions. I went through the prison system. So, I'm ready for it. I'm not worried what anybody thinks, I stand my ground.
Good. You've seen the worst. Well, forgive me, I shouldn't
That's
say
right.
that.
I don't fear nobody.
You've seen pretty much, you've seen pretty much of what we had, of some disgusting situations, and you've come up the other side, brother. And let me tell you something. You make me feel like $1 million, brother, just by listening to you. So just reading those books alone and setting goals for yourself. And I hope we have a ton of listeners in for this show, and I know it's going to be archived because this show is, I'm going to make sure it gets penned. Everybody has to listen.
Oh yeah. These things that are coming up in the future, man. I've seen a little glimpse of it, and I know they're gonna love it. Because,
Steve,
like I said, it's Chicago stuff, Cicero stuff, real stuff. It don't get better than this. It's gangster stuff, But
Steve,
you got it, Steve.
Well, Steve, let me ask you: Do you? I know this may sound nuts, but do you believe the fact that you, thank God, survived, being shot at 11 times, like you said? Do you think, in some way, that spiritually it was a sort of a way of telling you, hey, you're going to survive, but you got to get out of this lane?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. The producers. It's strange that you said that because the producers had pointed some things out to me recently, and it just really made me think that I'm here for a reason. It's not because I want to continue in that life. I was saved for a reason, and I believe this is it here. My father would tell me for years and years that I had a purpose, that I didn't die the first time, and I probably died about 20 times around my friends from gunshots, drug overdoses. There was at least 20 times I was dead, and people. That's the most amazing part of the story, is that I'm here for a reason, and the people that know me know that. and right now, this is the seed, the manifestation of something great. And like I said, now I hooked up with you guys in New York, so the networking and the tentacles are reaching.
Yeah.
Well, I think all of us, in different ways, are very caring people. We're very empathetic. We want to help others, and my life has been mostly education. Billy has gone through so much. I mean, father was a boss in one of the major 5 crime families, and Nick's been involved with so many different people and aspects. And what I think the thing we all have in common, and I see you have that also, is to help, to guide. You guys would be good personal coaches. Do you ever think of doing stuff like that? Especially for people who out of prison or something?
I'm open to anything, anything positive that's going to move forward. I'm all for that. I don't want to be in bondage, shackled down in that negativity no more. You see the world around you and stuff, it makes you really appreciate things, especially with this COVID. Got to appreciate every single day.
a partner of mine said to me the other day. He's like, Bill, in all due respect, he goes, but I don't think of a box at all. When I said to him, think outside the box. He goes, Bill, I don't have a box. And I thought that was it was very powerful when he said it. It resonated with me. But Steve, you have it's like rebirth. Look, I don't care who you are. You can be the biggest, baddest man on the planet. No one likes being shot at, especially on a regular basis. And it sounds like that happened to you more than one occasion. So, to be here, like you said, and be able to get your message out, brother, you know it. You know that we're here for a reason. And again, like I said, your story is enough to make the younger generation scratch their head at least for a second, look in the mirror and say, what the fuck am I doing here?
Oh yeah. I've had guys that I shot at reach out to me, and I had showed the producers, because I want to validate everything that I say. I don't want to fabricate stories or exaggerate stories. I want my story to be as real as possible. And, there's guys that I shot at in the streets, it was 20 years ago, nothing recent, but, a lot of these guys, and some of these guys are on the same page of redemption, because they ended up getting into some stuff themselves. And, that's how they reached out to me. And it's all coming together.
So it's like a good
so these guys that you shot at back then, have you ever come across them again since then?
Oh yeah. So I work with.
You work with? Oh boy.
Yeah, that's another part of the story. Is one of the guys that I used to feud with in the streets. We're pretty close now, but we're in the same union and stuff like that. But I ended up working at the same job as him, and at first it was a little awkward because 20 years before that, I could have taken his life, and fortunately things didn't happen that way, and we're pretty close now. We're close friends. Our daughters are friends, and
nice.
It's like I said,
So this individual
came together for me.
So this individual, I guess, is also trying to redeem himself as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, he got out of the street gang, before I did, but at one time he was an active member of an opposition gang that I was always getting into it with, and like I said, he jumped out of the car one night and I had fired a couple rounds. And it had hit the car, and I could have easily killed him that night. And the girl that was driving the car, I'm very close with her. She'll probably be part of my story later on. She called my dad, explained to him that I had just shot at him. My dad, I came in the house. My dad almost caught me with a gun, but he didn't. But he knew that I had done something, and I didn't realize then how serious it was until. I had my daughter, and I seen his daughter and playing together, and I thought, things could have went a different way that night. And for some reason, which I know God, that now we're both blessed with great jobs and have children, and we're friends now. That street stuff is nothing. It's not serious stuff, And I gave more loyalty to those people instead of my family, and I got nothing in return but prison sentences.
Oh, I hear
you. There's no benefits in that life. The people that are in that lifestyle, there's a price to pay for it. Whether it's the outfit, whether it's a street gang, whether it's a dope dealer, you got to deal with it when it comes. Some people are lucky; they don't ever get caught, and that's good. But the more the merrier. But when you do get caught, you got to pay the price. You got to pay the price.
Yeah,
it could be your life. It could be prison. And nowadays, a lot of guys ain't willing to sit in the jail. They're snitching. So that's another reason. I don't want to be around that. There's no loyalty in that.
No.
You know that, and I know that.
Yeah. When I lost my dad, I realized that I lived such a huge portion of my life, believing in what I call it a lie. it's basically a lie. You know, I was sold on something that it was supposed to be a brotherhood, and we all got each other's backs. And no matter what, you know, it doesn't matter. We gave that oath of saying that we're going to be here. We'll leave our children's bedside to come out because if our brothers need us. And, you know, one fateful day, all that shit went out the fucking window, you know. And then I was told that I was lucky, you know, because sometimes in that life, when the father goes, the son goes. So, you know, whoever, you know, took my dad, you know, they had plans, but they said that they saved me, that there were bigger plans for me. And you know what? What kind of bigger plans can you have for me if someone took my father? You know, what are you waiting for? You ain't walking me down a basement, you know, and you can't sell me on this shit no more, you know. So you can keep sending it to me, you can keep telling me to come in, but guess what? I ain't coming. So if you need me, you're gonna have to take me from the street, you know.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Stevie, man, you are blessed, and to have that story, it's that one little piece of the story that one of the guys that used to bump heads with severely in the street, that you guys are now friends and the kids are close. I mean, that, oh man, you made my heart melt. You brought a tear to my eye. You know, when it comes to my children, they're my everything. You know, my eldest is 23. My daughter is 19 and my little guy is 12. And I couldn't imagine a day of them trying to get through a day if I went out and did something stupid, you know. And, you know, it's happened to me over the course of the last 20 years since I walked away from the street, but it was always coming from a position of feeling like my life was being threatened, you know. But it's very easy to fall back into that. Like you said, we have our moments. We have to keep it in check. For me, it still takes, you know, a lot of talking. You know, sometimes it's just a conversation with myself. Sometimes my wife laughs at me, but sometimes it's just that little conversation that you have with yourself that says, hey, you can't resort to the way you were 20 years ago or so forth. You know, we need to rethink this. So, but yeah, that's an amazing piece to your story, brother. I know it's a little tidbit, but that's enough, bro, to make me pick up the book and definitely come to a movie theater. You know, that's for shit sure.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, I lost two of my friends. You know, they both were killed. One was killed by the police, and the other one was killed by a rival. So, you know, when you start seeing dead bodies and stuff, and then, you know, even the behavior, the lifestyle, you know, I feel like I've influenced, you know, a lot of these guys, and you know, then you start feeling responsible for things that are happening in the future. And I didn't want to live like that no more. You know, I didn't want to be responsible for people dying anymore, you know, directly or indirectly. I
feel the same way to this very second.
I'm stress-free now. I feel like, you know, I don't have to look over my shoulder or anything. That's, you know, I enjoy my life now. And you know, that's why I've been doing it for 10 years. Because I don't have to look over my shoulder. I can walk down the street. Yeah, I go into all the rivals' neighborhoods all the time. You know, and I know most of these guys from the joints and stuff. So, you know, I'm very versatile in Chicago. I get along with different ethnicities, black, brown. You know, I rotate with everybody. You know, and I've been trying to reach out to these other people and the other mobs, and you know, whoever's on the same page, we can do this. Make these things happen.
Amen.
Hey, Stevie, were you interesting story you have? Anything about when you were the scaredest time of your life, where maybe you thought somebody was going to take you out, or you were in a situation you didn't think you'd make it?
Yeah. So
anything like that you can talk about? It'd be interesting.
Yeah, you know, so I had told my wife, and it was just, you know, like a dream that I had is that, you know, my life has changed so much now, and that I'm on a positive page. You know, it was a little scary because I told my wife it would just be my luck that somebody would try to take me out because of jealousy, you know that. And so yeah, it did cross my mind. You know, I'm not hoping nothing like that happens because, you know, I'm not over here disrespecting anybody or stepping on anybody's toes. I'm just trying to pull positivity, you know, strength for these younger generations. And, so far everybody's been on board. Everybody respects it.
We got a
Steve,
2-minute warning. We got. Oh, hold on a second. We got like a 2-minute, less than 2-minute warning to end the show. I don't want to say warning, but so maybe Stevie could give out, his contact information again. Anything you'd like to share with the audience, and then we can kind of sign off. So go ahead, Steve. Why didn't you do that?
So I'm working with the producers, James Forney and Joe Seifert here in Chicago, and we're working on a few future projects that are going to go big, and we have a big lineup. I'm on Facebook under the Stevie Bullets story if you want to see me. Steve Roden on Facebook if you want to reach out to me. We have a few big things that are coming up. Everybody look for the videos, the promos, stuff like that. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Thank you for listening. Mike McCollum, thank you for bringing me to the project. All my co-workers out there, Line 6. I'm very grateful for my job, my employees, everybody that I work with, and my support team, my father, my wife, my children. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you, Stevie, for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it, and we probably should make a quick sign off. So, Stevie, listen, God bless you and your family, and hope to talk to you again. Keep in touch. And Nikki and Billy, last maybe 15, 20 seconds, a goodbye from your point of view. And thank you, audience, for listening. Yeah, and we'll be here same time, same place next week.
Yes. Thank you, Steve, so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Blessings,
thank you so much for having
and
me
we'll
on
be
your show.
Talking,
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
We'll be talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck,
Reach
Steve.
out.
Thanks for coming on again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes. And Happy New Year to our audience, and thank you for our dedicated audience. And please tune in next week for another show. And God bless you all, and thank you very much.
God bless.
God bless.
God bless.
And y'all are clear, guys.
Hey, that's good.